Hey guys, Tomboy601, and welcome to our Jurua review, the all-new Tier 5 Pan-American Destroyer that you can get for absolutely free. That's right, a free Tier 5 Premium. If you want to know how to do that, head on over to our Winter Update guide. In that, we are going to be covering all sorts of things that you need to know about this Winter Update, including how to get this ship for free. So, welcome to Jurua. What commander are we running? Well, we are running the good old Pedro Lima Santos, aka the Pan-American George Dewey, with Mortif and Bay. We are running Burn It Down XXL for a higher chance of fire. Look at Me Now for better concealment. Back in stock for a better torpedo reload. And Smoke on the Water for a longer smoke. And of course, Quick Fix because, well, who likes being shot at, having your engines knocked, and then not being able to move? I certainly don't. And you're going to want that because, well, there's some certain downsides to Jurua. And you may be saying, Tommy, if I didn't have my reading spectacles on, I would think Jurua isn't quite Jurua. But in fact, it's a ship we've already gotten before. It's Gallant. And to you, I'd say, very good job, eagle-eyed viewer. You have identified a W class, I believe, destroyer of the British Navy, and that's exactly what happened in the 1930s. The good old Brazilians ordered, I think, 3 or 4 of these babies, and Jurua is one of them. But what differs Jurua from Gallant? And there are actually a couple of differentiations, which we'll go over, but also kind of go over the stats for this vessel. First off, let's go over the play we are making so you kind of understand what this ship does. Well, of course, it's a destroyer. We are doing the god's greatest work with a destroyer. That's called spotting. You can see we have the lowest concealment on this flank. So we're going to come out here because we know enemy ships like to be out in the open, especially the battleships. And we want to spot them for our battleships in our cruisers so that they can take shots at them. And that's kind of what we want to do here. Now, what does Jurua offer that Gallant does not? Well, it has an extra 1,000 health, which is nice. And usually with the British destroyers, like Gallant, you're a bit of a hybrid boat. You have a sonar, which Gallant doesn't, but Gallant is sort of more of a torpedo-focused boat, and Jurua sort of is too. It has 2 major changes to it that tear it in both directions to being both a gunboat and a torpedo boat, and when you combine them together, it remains being sort of this hybrid bastard of a ship. One of those big differentiators is on display right now. Look at that duration of the smoke. Good old American smoke, which is going to do some mighty fine work because, well, we knew these battleships were here. We saw that our teammates had good lines of sight, and now we are taking advantage of Burn It Down XXL. Now, Pedro de Lima Santos does have the ability to equip basically a skill that gives you 4 extra knots of torpedo speed, and that's a valuable skill, and it could be used. But the reason we went with Burn It Down XXL is because we wanted to take advantage of this extra fire chance. Now, what am I doing right there? I want you to kind of watch that back if you missed it. We lined up our torpedo so that we have a double chance of hitting these boats. When the New Mexico's aim reticle kind of lined up with what would be the aim reticle of the other, was that another New Mexico over there, the two battleships, that's when we fired our torpedoes. The thinking here being that we kind of double our chances if both aim indicators are down the same thing. Oh, it's in Arizona. My apologies. And that leads me to what is the other big change with Jurua, and that's going to be those torpedoes, because it does by default come equipped with the same torpedoes that Gallant is known for, which is fine, right? It's fine. But you do have the option to equip some other torpedoes. They're like Fletcher torpedoes. So for an extra 5 seconds of reload, bringing it up to 90 seconds, and for losing 10 knots of speed on those torpedoes, you're going to gain 2,000 extra damage, bringing them up to 17,000, and in our case 41, because Pedro Lima Santos's his trait just boosts all of your damage by like one point something %, depending on how much you have him ranked up, so we get a little bit of extra damage there. Then we get 1.2 kilometers of extra range, bringing it up to 9.2 kilometers, and we're going to we're going to have slightly stealthier torpedoes that are going to have 0.1 less kilometer of detectability, which all in all seems pretty good. Now, what are we doing here as far as our game plan? Well, we're in what they call a retreat, and that's okay because we're keeping our team spotted, and we're kind of noticing that, well, there's a lot of smoke over yonder, and when there's a lot of smoke, that means there's destroyers, but we can't really go in and engage these guys quite like we are. We have a lot of battleships who would happily fire at us, and we're at relatively close range where we don't want to risk it. So what we need to do is limit the angles at which we can be attacked. Thankfully, our Ochotnik and that Ochotnik traded with our destroyer, which means there's only going to be the Farragut over there. And, well, we're going to lay some torpedoes down for this Brittany and then come on over to B and see if we can capture B. But while we do this, our friend the Farragut pops up. And I don't know what was in this Farragut's mind, but I guess he just, destroyer gunfights, even though he's in a nice gunboat, just don't matter to him. So we stick it in full reverse because we want to engage in a fight. And this man, he doesn't even want to look at us. He is of one singular mind. He's like, I am going to capture C. C is open. We are playing the objective. And you know what? Good on you, Mr. Farragut player, because you're out there playing the objective. He didn't fire his gun, so he's not going to stay spotted. We did do, I think, a decent chunk of damage to him, as we are now going to cap B so that we at least still have one source of points coming into our team, because we could try to go chase that Farragut. But if you notice, he has a lot of support around him, and when enemy destroyers have a lot of support around them, well, you're going to get fired upon if you get spotted, and when you use your guns, you're gonna get spotted. So not an option to go chase him down. We weakened him, but for now, the goal, or what we can do, is try to push back into this open water and try and lay down our torpedoes. And this is where Jurua, I'm going to say, doesn't quite excel, but does pretty well for itself. If you haven't noticed, the wide angle and narrow angle spreads are incredibly tight on this ship. I don't know why, but it's a fun little thing, because usually when you get a British ship or a ship of British descent like the Jurua, you usually end up getting the single fire torps, which I personally love. But this incredibly tight torpedo spread, we'll take that as well. And, well, what are we doing here? Well, we are trying to stay 5.7 kilometers behind the boat in front of us. You can see it tick down here, and look how long it takes us to spot. I feel like that's an indication of the tick rate. We're throwing it in full reverse because, of course, when someone knows we are here, we know there's going to be issues. But, well, this Arizona, he's already dealt with us a little bit earlier, and we are now going to try to end this. We're going to deploy our smoke here because, as we can see, we do have another friendly destroyer coming around the corner. We have a battleship right behind us that's going to be able to spot Arizona until Arizona continues to engage, and his smoke fire penalty allows us to see him. So we're going to set the smoke, and we're going to try to start some permanent fires, because if we can get a permanent fire, then we can maybe get a nice big flood on him as well. As you can see, we're kind of trying to keep one torpedo tube ready to go. Smoke fire penalty on this vessel is going to be 2.3 kilometers, which all in all, pretty solid. Would have loved a 2, but hey, 2.3, nothing really to laugh at as we line up the torps here on the Arizona. We think he's going to go and try to push forward a bit more, and unfortunately, you're going to see that we don't read this quite correctly. We're going to switch over to AP because, well, he has the double fires. We don't want to risk him having fight fire with fire that's going to extinguish the fires if we have put 3 fires out on him. And besides, he's an American battleship. We can get plenty of AP damage up top, but we are going to end up picking him up the kill with the torpedo as we earn the Arsonist Award on him. Excellent. Well, now we're down to 3 boats on the enemy team. They do technically still have map control. They do still have two different caps, and we are going to fix that. And, well, I'll be honest, one of these boats is not like the other. If you notice off of our port bow, this New Mexico hasn't really been playing the game lately. I believe he's the guy that we got the permaflood on, and I think after the permaflood, he tossed his controller and just didn't want to play anymore. I'm not sure, but what we're going to do is head out to him and, well, deliver 2 sets of torpedoes. This is where that narrow fire spread really comes into its own play. If you notice, the narrow spread of the torpedoes is the width of that battleship. Those torpedoes are going to stay nice and tightly packed on their way to him, which means that you're able to deliver the full payload within a relatively small area, assuming you're able to hit. This does have its pluses and minuses, and of course, we did give up torpedo speed, which means that if anyone makes a course correction, your torpedoes are going to be that much farther off, and then if they're narrow spread, the effect is going to be just even greater. So just be wary of giving up torp speed. I think it's worth it in this case for the extra damage and especially the extra range, but your mileage may absolutely vary. As let's just enjoy these torpedoes as they come in on New Mexico here. Boop, 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 plop. Hey, there we go. Dev Strike and a high cal. You'll notice we also have Derflinger off here. We're not engaging him, and that's because, well, we don't want him to turn around and take this cap from us. We'll get all the guns kind of loaded on him, and when basically, we're going to aim down sights, see the flight time of the shell that's in the lower left-hand corner, and when we're about that far away from capping, then we're going to go ahead and let open. The reason we're doing that is because even if, like, his secondaries, if he had secondary range on us, and he's able to instantly return fire on us, he is not going to be able to disable our cap. And that's exactly what we want. We want to knock out Derflinger here and be able to maybe get the kill. As you can see, the HE doing a fairly good job of penetrating the backside of his vessel. We get a fire set, and, well, once he goes down, there's only one vessel left, and, well, you know what we got to do. He already took out one destroyer, and I'll be honest, we probably should have been firing our gun here, but I wanted to get another torpedo kill, and at this point, if I suicide run into him, guess what? Nothing's going to happen. There's only a minute and a half left in this game, and he can't do anything about it. So we're going to turn on that engine boost, and we are going to go to move to intercept. Now, a fun little trick I want to teach you guys about how to plot an intercept course is you can use your torpedo indicator. Generally, torpedoes are going to... the torpedo indicator is a intercept course. It's an intercept course for your torpedoes onto a boat. Well, what you can do is use that to kind of guide you to the most efficient intercept route between you and another vessel. That's because torpedoes don't really go much faster than a destroyer at full tilt, right? We're at 36, 37, maybe we're going to top out at like 40 knots. Our torpedoes only go 55. There's only 15 knot difference in that. The intercept velocity, the difference in that for when plotting an intercept is that's not much, as he is just going to just start chunking us. And at this point, I'm like, oh crap, we just need to dump these torpedoes. But yeah, if you need to plot a efficient intercept velocity, use your torpedo indicator as he takes us out. And I'm sure that was the highlight of his evening. But well, it's not going to do anything as we end this game with 126,000 damage. Jurua, quite fun. Not the best tier 5 destroyer, but it's an interesting one, and I'm glad there's at least some changes from Gallant that do make it just a little interesting compared to the clone that it's based off. If you like the video, guys, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and check out that winter update guide. It is a huge amount of effort to produce. Anyways, see ya.